when I worked in collegiate athletics, I was always training the athletes for a specific thing, right? Regardless of what it was. Let's say the basketball season, right? I knew exactly what I was preparing for. I knew exactly the requirements of the sport. I knew all of the things. Was very controlled and very defined, right? So I was a human performance specialist for Naval Special Warfare. So I trained Navy SEALs basically. My primary job, I did a lot of stuff, but my primary job was basically to make them more durable, right? Less likely to be injured. They could do the job and not get hurt, because that's a big deal, and injuries are rampant amongst those guys. So, but the training changed because of that. In my mind, my philosophy changed because I wasn't training for a season for them. To some extent, you can kind of predict deployments and things like that, but overall, what we wanted to achieve is just general physical preparedness. They weren't training for to throw the shot put, right? They weren't training to run the 100 yards, right, 100 meters. They were training for anything and everything that might come their way, and that is unpredictable, right? You know they're going to have to carry some heavy crap, some long distances, perhaps, right? You can kind of predict some of that stuff, and you know what some of the most common injuries are, but for the most part, you don't know. You don't know. They might have to carry their buddy. They might have to carry the buddy on the shoulders from point A to point B.
I had to carry my buddy about a mile out of the woods because he got hypothermia.
See, there you go. Yeah, but you didn't know that was going to happen, so you couldn't be like, I'm going to train for this event, because you just don't know. So the way that I look at training for myself, fit for survival, right, is what I call it. I want general physical preparedness. That means I'm not training for any one specific thing. I'm just trying to be mediocre at everything. That's my goal. I'm not going to be the best runner. I'm not going to be the strongest weightlifter, and I don't want to be. If I am, that's probably a problem, and I need to shift my training around a little bit to get a little bit more well balanced. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what I look at. So when I train personally, I mean, I've been lifting weights and doing all kinds of conditioning stuff for 25 years now. So I've done all kinds of stuff. You name it, I've probably tried it. But what I do now is I work out 3 times a week, right? Because I know personally, you might be able to handle more, but I can't. 3 times a week of training is about right for me. That gives me enough work and enough recovery time so that I'm not beaten down and injured, because what if the zombies come right now, right? You know what I mean? Like, and you're wiped out from doing 1 billion push-ups yesterday. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? We just don't know. We don't know, and we need to be ready at all times. So I wouldn't call it necessarily what I do training anymore. I call it exercise, right? Fitness. I want to be fit for life, for whatever life is. I don't know what that means, okay? And so what I do is I constantly change what I do. I do different stuff all the time. I don't want anything to be a surprise. I don't want the 100-meter sprint that I have to do to save my loved one to be the first time that I've done that in years. Does that make sense? Yep. Like, how crappy would that be if you need to get from A to B? I need to get to that truck as fast as possible because bullets are flying. I need to get there, and I pull my hamstring because I haven't done anything like that in years.
Or just, I mean, more practical, that dog is relentless. I mean, you know
right?
what I mean? So,
you don't know, but that's what I'm saying. We just don't know. So I try to vary my training as much as possible, right? Everything from long distance endurance running to powerlifting. Everything in between. That's my goal. I want to be mediocre at all of that. If you're into survival, if you put yourself in remote places, if you do anything like that where there's potentially something could go wrong, I highly, highly encourage you to vary your training as much as possible. All right, you with me?
Yeah, it makes sense to me because I've been bulking for like the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Man, I can't hardly move.
Right? That's what I'm saying. You're strong dude, bet, right?
I can move a lot of weight.
I wouldn't want to arm wrestle you.
I can't flex. I can't. Man,
it's funny. I'm thinking a sticker put on his back. He can't get it.
I mean, I can't.
The kick me sticker.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to do like what you're talking about. I'm ready to trim it back down and just be more functional.
Sure. If the training is beating you up and the exercises that you're doing are pummeling you into the ground, you're kind of defeating the purpose. You're not really fit if you're injured all the time from the training, right? Every day, this is what I wear. I look like this is kind of my uniform, and not camo pants all the time, but pretty much cargo pants of some sort and a t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, jacket, whatever. I usually train in what I wear. That's how I roll, because I want to know that what I'm wearing is not going to hinder my performance on whatever it is that I'm doing. right? If I always work out, exercise in gym shorts and gym shoes and a quick drying t-shirt, how will I know if my boots and my pants and all that stuff will perform when I need it under a duress? Does that make sense? What's that?
Train like you fight.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. You nailed it. So, I like to train in my everyday clothing and stuff as much as I can. The only exception is probably in the summertime when it's a billion degrees and I'm just gonna sweat through everything and it's just kind of a drag to change clothes multiple times a day. But otherwise, I train like this. And uneven terrain is really cool too, because really the only time in life that you encounter a flat surface is at the gym, right? The perfect flat rubbery ground, which is nice. It's great. I like it. That's cool. It's comfy. The bars are easy to hold on to. All the things are padded and cushy. But in real life, nothing's like that, right? The ground is uneven, right? This is what you're going to be on.
Central Florida is.
Flat as it gets, right? Yeah, I guess there's some exceptions. But for the most part, you're going to be on, uneven ground. And I train on the hillsides and stuff because that's where I operate. But full range of motion, what I'd like to see is pretty much all the way down. A full range of motion squat is all the way down where my hamstring touches my calves. Lots of debates on that. I get it. Everyone's going to have their opinions on that. Have you ever heard never squat where your knees go past your toes? Have you ever heard that before? Don't squat past parallel. I get it. I've heard all those arguments too, but I've literally done this with 1,000 people, and I've always trained full range of motion squats. What's up?
What happens when you climb stairs?
When you climb stairs? Knee goes past your toes?
Knee goes past your
Yeah,
toes.
that's it. Or just bend down and pick everything. Get off the ground. Okay, if I'm on the ground, right? Try to get up without bending your knees past that 90-degree point. It's like next to impossible. I mean, some kind of weird, like, conniving thing that you have to do to make that happen. So, yeah, I've done this with a lot of people, and I've had very, very, very little knee issues and things like that because of this training. Lots of knee issues from the sports that they're playing and stuff like that, but not from the training. So I recommend all the way down as best you can, but go to the point where your form starts to fall apart. So if I look good, so this is my squat, I look good, and then all of a sudden I go, right? I've gone a little bit too far, and I need to work on getting that depth a little bit more, right? Sack of potatoes, a baby, whatever, it doesn't matter. The squat's always gonna be exactly the same thing, okay? Slight variations, right, with footwork and where you're gonna put your feet and things, that's totally cool. But for the most part, the fundamentals of the squat are exactly the same. A front squat is basically having any kind of weight. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a medicine ball. It could be a basketball. It could be anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a chainsaw. I'm holding it in front of me, okay? I've got a weight in front of me, and I have to squat all the way down with it and all the way back up, okay? In this case, we're using a PVC pipe, which simulates a barbell. See what's happening to my feet. Right, you can see what's happening to my knees, you can see what's happening back. I want you to look for those things because when we can see it in somebody else, it makes it much easier for me to do it properly, right? I became I used to compete in Olympic style weightlifting, the snatch and the clean and the jerk, and I noticed dramatic improvements when I started coaching other people. I got way better because I understood the subtle nuances and differences in the actual lifts. So, I would want, the ideal role is I'd want this elbow way out in front of the bar, right? So you can't do it yet, but
If I do it that way,
yeah,
I
that's
can.
fine. That's actually something we could do. That's fine. And then just curl it in tight. Yeah. So that's why I want the elbow in front of the bar, and ideally this tricep parallel to the ground. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So much better. And then just work on getting a little lower without screwing it up. Knees. I want to see those out a little more. Yeah, that's it. Don't move your feet. Push those knees out. That's more gooder. Weight back on the heels. Yeah, much more gooder. There you go. Elbows up. Yeah, that's it. Come on up. Much better. So we got to really force those knees apart because if you put any kind of load on you, it's going to crush you. Right? Elbows up high. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want. Okay? Looking for perfection, right? In training, if we can do perfection in training, it's going to be much easier for us to do it in the real world, right? Correctly. It's not going to be perfect in the real world because you're going to be all uneven and crooked and weird things, trying to lift the car off the baby kind of deal. It's not going to be perfect, but in training, we want to try to make it as perfect as we can. Yeah? You could train outside every single day with very little equipment and get awesome. Squeeze my quads, I squeeze my butt cheeks, right? I squeeze my abs, and what that does is it creates a solid foundation for me to work from, all right? If I squeeze my quads, I squeeze my butt cheeks, I squeeze my abs, nothing's moving. Everything is tight and locked in, okay? So that's what I'm looking for. quads, butt cheeks, abs tight. And then from there, all I'm gonna do, very simple, is I'm gonna get my chin out of the way. I like to turtle my chin a little bit, kind of tuck it in. And I press straight up. It should hit the bill of my hat. I press straight up and I push my head and chest through that hole that I've created with my arms and the barbell. Head and chest through. Nothing changed here, right? Go ahead and press overhead. Head through the hole at the top. Push your head and chest. You back and buys on Wednesday. And you separate all these things into isolated compartments. It's really not necessary. I've tried it all different ways. I've done that, all right? And I've combined it all too. I've combined cardio training with weight training. And I put it all together and it works really, really well. I can get a lot stronger at the same time as I'm improving my cardiovascular abilities as well, right? It's a pretty cool way to do it and it's so much more efficient. I can get an awesome workout done in 10 minutes and get more volume, right? Sets and reps, more volume done than a lot of people would do in like 2 hours in a gym, right? It just depends on how you do it, how you engineer it. So you can't get away with poor form just because you're trying to go fast. If you're going so fast that your form sucks and it looks really bad, you need to slow down, okay? And I want your partner to help you do that, to keep you accountable for it, okay? So I say, hey man, stop for a second. You need to make sure you're doing this, and then let them keep going, okay? But if your form looks really good, well, by all means, rip it, get it. Head through the whole top.
Yeah, look at you.
There you go, Kenny. That's it, head through the whole top. Don't
Yeah.
forget. Excellent. Yeah, you go. Go. That's it. Excellent.